All right, welcome back. We are going to continue on with the creation topic about dinosaurs and man. And I'm going to try to go about as far as I can with this one video here. I was adding some stuff into my presentation last night, and I just kept going and going. The rabbit hole just kept getting deeper and deeper. And I'm kind of rabbit trailing, pun intended. I'm kind of rabbit trailing um, on something that I think you guys will find interesting, kind of spooky in a way. But it originally came up. The reason I've added this in is because you know a lot of whenever people want to debate me or they just got a question in general, they'll just say, well, a certain word isn't in the Bible, like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs isn't in the Bible. Well, it wasn't even coined or even created until 1841, 1842, somewhere in that area there. And so you're looking at around the 1840 to 1842, somewhere in that general time. Those are several different dates that I've been able to find. I have a dictionary. It's not the dictionary, you can barely see it on the corner of the screen there. That's not it. I would have it and show it to you guys, but the thing is falling apart. It's an really old dictionary from 1873, and the word dinosaur is not in it. It's not in it. It's a Webster's dictionary, and it still haven't made it, at least in Webster's dictionary at that time, in the dictionary that I have, by 1873, it's not in there. And so, that's the reason why you're not going to see the word dinosaur in the Bible. The Bible refers to a certain type of animal by naming them dragons, Now, the kind of rabbit trail just a little bit, do you know that the word Bible is not in the Bible? It's not. The word Bible is not in the Bible, but we call this the Bible. What's up with that? And so, if you'll notice on the screen, it says the word Bible is not in the Bible, which are the scriptures. When Greek-speaking Jews talked about the scriptures, they used a Greek expression, ta biblia, which means the scrolls or the books. The word Bible was first used by Christians around AD 223 to refer to the New Testament. Later, both the Old and New Testaments were brought together to be what we know as the Bible. Now, you'll notice, Paul here is given some instructions. He's saying, the cloak that I left at Troas with Carpus, when thou comest, bring with thee. Now, Paul's incarcerated, and he's requesting some things. What he says, and the books. Bring with thee and the books, but especially the parchments. Now, that word books, when you go into the concordance, it means biblion. Biblion. It means book, bill, scroll, or written document. And so, at this time here, they didn't have the New Testament. And so they just had the Old Testament. And so it very well could be that, he had, he was able to get copies of the Old Testament. Now, you will hear in the New Testament that the Old Testament is referred to as Moses and the prophets. That they're talking about the Old Testament when you hear that. And so you're basically talking about the Bible when they're talking about that. And so it doesn't mean the Bible doesn't exist just because the word Bible is not in the scriptures. But it goes on to say, scrolls were made of linen or cotton cloth, skins or leaves of the papyrus. Now get this, guys. It is from papyrus where we get the word paper. That's where we get the word paper from, is papyrus. You can kind of see it in there. The inner bark of trees was also sometimes used. The Latin word for bark is liber. And this word came to signify a book, which is related in Latin to our word library. When made of cloth or skins, the book was made up in the form of a roll. And so now you can see where we get our word library from. And so you can see it's all kind of connected in there together. Now, let's get a little spooky. This is just something I'm just going to put on your plate. And so you guys just kind of take this for what it's worth. There's 66 books in the Bible. 39 are in the Old Testament. 27 are in the New Testament. Now, I've been told, I cannot validate this myself, but Psalm 118:8 is directly in the middle of the Bible, of the whole scriptures. Psalm 118:8 is right there in the middle. And in the middle of that verse, if you was to take a line and draw it right down through the middle of the Bible, words and all, the Lord would be separated. So the Lord is right there in the middle. The two words, the Lord, is right in the center of that. Now I will say this. If you look at Psalm 118:8, what does it say? It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. That is a very true statement. That is an outstanding verse to have right in the center of the Bible. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. What an outstanding scripture to have right in the middle of the Bible. Now, guys, I'll say this. Now, I took this verse and I split it right down the middle. And you know what I found? It's kind of spooky. There's 14 words in this verse. There's 7 on one side and 7 on the other side. Guess what 2 words are right in the middle? The Lord. The Lord is right there in the center of it. So, if it can be validated that Psalm 118:8 is in fact in the center of the Bible, the verse that is in the center of the Bible, if you take those words and split them up in that verse, now I'm using the King James Bible. If you split it right there in the middle, there's 7 on one side and 7 on the other side. The Lord is right in the middle. So that's true, at least for this verse here. Now, it is kind of spooky. Now, what I'm going to do, if you guys notice this book here, this is from Evangelist E.D.F. Valo. E.D.F. Valo. It's entitled Biblical Mathematics, Keys to Scripture Numerics. You guys can see that right there. It's a very good book, but he goes into all types of biblical numerics in this thing, Bible numbers and stuff, and how they're used. And guys, it's weird. It's really strange. I mean, when it comes to the Bible, it's more alive than you can ever imagine. But just remember this book right here for you guys that really like to get into the spooky things like me. That right there is some good reading. But if you'll notice on the screen, 7 at the bottom of this page here, of this slide, it says 7. 7 is the number of completeness and perfection because there's 7 words on each side of this verse here that's split right down the middle. 7, the number of completeness and perfection. Now, if you add both the 7 together, or there's 14 words in this verse, 14 is the number of deliverance or salvation. And what is in the middle of this verse? The Lord. Now, guys, that is freaking spooky. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now. But I tell you what, let's stop right here. I'm sitting here looking at the clock, and I've got about 9 minutes. And so we're going to get into dragons and the Bible. But I tell you what, I'm going to leave it for next time. This right here was just literally, I was just adding in a small portion into this. But my whole reason and why I put this in to this presentation here is just to show you, and guys, this is just one example of words that we know that just because they're not into the Bible, it doesn't mean it don't exist. And so it does. That's where we got our word Bible from, is Biblia. And so, but it actually means a book, a document. And so, but there are other words. There are other words that people have tried to debate me, and they've tried to use it to back up their claims. that the Bible doesn't speak about it. So it's either not a sin or that there's no problem with it at all. It's okay. And or it don't exist, and so which is not true. And dragons is definitely one of them, and we are going to really look at that. And so, because what were dinosaurs called, or those creatures called, before they were actually named? In 1840, between 1840 and 1842, what were they named? And so I believe dragon was what they called them. And so, but at any rate, guys, you guys be looking forward to the next one. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.